and that affected the outcome of the game. I'm all for them putting away the whistles in overtime. Absolutely. You want it to be high flying. If you're going to have a 3-on-3, you might as well have it be high flying. But here it cost the Flyers, and that's what it is. You take a lot when you go in for a scoring opportunity and you swarm the net. It's almost you have to do it almost at your own peril. Make sure it goes in, because if not, it is going the other way in an odd man rush, and that's what got him in this game, and that turns out to be the difference.
And the way you mentioned it there, kind of gets you thinking a little bit. It wasn't just that last call.
Oh, it was all game.
There were several times in this game.
Several, yeah.
That there could be opportunities for power plays for the Flyers that weren't called. I think Laurier back and forth was perhaps the first one that comes to mind. He was pulled down, no call, and about a minute or two later, he gets penalty for a similar situation. So, again, they obviously these guys have off nights and things like that. But again, it's just a little bit tough for Flyers to look at it, and it's interesting. But I was looking when that goal was scored. I looked back at the end. I'm sure he's going to.
Oh yeah.
And he did. The second place I looked was at the bench, and John Tortorella was already gone. He was nowhere to be seen. So I'm wondering when he walked down the tunnel, but I think he kind of probably had a inkling in the back of his head that that was going to be a bad situation.
Yeah, and I better get out of here because I'm going to do something that's not going to be good. That's called knowing yourself. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations where, Tony's trying to just evade to try and get back up and get into the play and defend, but he's prevented from doing so, and he gets all kinds of tangled with the Kings player, and who ends up, I don't think the Kings player was trying to haul him down, but it's not about intent. It's about what happened.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I'm not one that likes to blame referees. It's not what I usually do, but like I said in the beginning, I think this was just a game where the standard seemed like it was different for two different teams tonight. I mean, even the JVR one where he got it in front of the Flyer bench, his first penalty, I mean, that was blatant interference, and then he hauled him down. I had no problem with the JVR call, but there was blatant interference prior to that. So,
and then just going back, taking a look at the replay here, D'Angelo was trying to come out from the TV perspective. It's the right side of the net, probably his left. Goaltender's on the ice there. So there's a Kings player there with a stick across D'Angelo's body, and that's where he goes down. There's a referee on the other side of the net, left of the net, and he probably doesn't have the best look at this because there is a whole lot going on between him and where this happens. I don't know where the trailing referee was. I can see where the lead referee may not actually see what happened. It may actually look like he tripped over Copley. And in fact, it is interesting because as I zapruder this, that referee on the back line raises his whistle about halfway up and then changes his mind, brings it back down. Who knows what he was trying to call there? He was trying to call the puck, thinking about blowing the puck dead because it was under Copley's legs for a moment before it got knocked out. That whistle went up and then it came back down, and then there was nothing else. Trailing referee all the way out in the neutral zone. So you can pass through it all night long, but it's not going to change the result here. But I still think a good overall effort here for the Flyers against a pretty good LA Kings team, and stuff that they can kind of hang their hat on, for lack of a better term, as they go on this road.
Yeah, I mean, it was an entertaining hockey game. There was I thought some really well executed plays in the game, and Flyers got out to a lead, Kings tie it. Flyers get out to a lead, Kings tie it. It was kind of this cat and mouse game, and it comes down to the third period and who's going to win the period. Then nobody draws any blood in the third, and then you head to the overtime, and what takes place took place. But yeah, it was a good game, and Flyers got outshot in the game 38-31. I thought Hart was really sharp in the game, made some really good saves, really good one in the third on Kopitar on that one-time opportunity to Carter's left, his glove side. Where he got over, and I thought he was good in the game pretty much throughout. And, at the other end, too, I thought Copley played well. I thought they had some opportunities on him, and he made some pretty big saves. So, I mean, both players got bailed out by a bar. Earlier in the game, Hart got bailed out by that crossbar where it kind of shot the puck straight down almost to the goal line. And then in the overtime, obviously, Lawton just a beautiful dip into the middle of the ice and a cross, and he ends up beating him and hits it off the bar. And then, I think that puck's just bouncing for Sanheim and he can't corral it. But it was a game of opportunity, but all said and done, LA capitalized on the last one. And that's the one that's the difference.
The 28th time in Carter Hart's career, he's faced 38 or more shots. It is just the 8th time that he has not come away with a victory. He has 20 wins, 3 losses, and now 5 overtime shootout points in those circumstances. So, again, another solid effort there for Carter in the overall grand scheme of things. And unfortunately for him, it does not come out the way that he wanted it to. So that's the way things end up shaking out here tonight. Let's take our break. When we come back, we'll go through the highlights for you and break this down a little bit further and take a look ahead about what the Flyers have coming up next. They are headed out to lovely Minnesota and Winnipeg, 2 beautiful winter vacation destinations. That's coming up next for them, so we'll talk about all that when we come back here on the post-game show. Flyers fall to the Kings tonight, 4-3 is the final. Back after this here on BetRivers.com Flyers Podcast Networks. Tonight, but we are going to be back in East Food Hall after the All-Star break, and if you're looking for us there, we will see you there in February, but we'll continue to break down this one here for you tonight as the Flyers again fall to the Los Angeles Kings by a final of 4-3 in the shootout. Flyers take the lead 3 times in this game, and all 3 times the Los Angeles Kings able to come back and retake the lead, or tie the game, I should say, until they finally took the lead there at the end. And let's go through the BetRivers.com highlight reel for you. We'll get to the Flyers' goals here, starting 5:50 into the first period when James Van Riemsdyk picks up his 8th goal of the year to start the scoring, make it 1-0. So Van Riemsdyk with the goal from Tippett and Provorov, 5:50, and again a bit of a broken play here as Provorov, or rather Tippett and Van Riemsdyk kind of crossed paths there. I think actually just two Flyers crossed paths. It might have been Tippett actually and Frost. I'm not sure, but Tippett comes out of the mess with the puck as he almost ran into not only his own player but a couple of Los Angeles Kings. But good on him to stay with it and keep it along with them, and he's able to find Van Riemsdyk for the goal.
Yeah, I'd like to know where he found that magnetic puck because it looked like it was attached to him magnetically. Somehow he comes through there, and the puck's right where it needs to be. And sometimes, you know, you can't do anything to get that puck to go where you want it to go, and then other times it just ends up right where it's supposed to. And that time it ended up right where he was supposed to, and kind of fools Doughty, and he makes it. He makes a really smart play putting that across because Van Riemsdyk's got a no doubt about it goal. And for Tippett, we say all the time too, Bri, like shooters, like shoot that puck, apologize later. But in that occasion, don't shoot that puck, deliver that puck. And he did. Yep. There is a line there of demarcation of the right thing to do, and he just puts a beautiful one on a tee for James Van Riemsdyk, who I think went about 6 games without a goal. So good to get him back on the board because we know that James, JVR, and Tip, for that matter, both of those guys are streaky scorers. So that opens the scoring, and it's a beautifully executed play.
So Van Riemsdyk from Tippett and Provorov, 1-0 at that point. Goals came in quick succession after that, as there were 3 in the span of 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Anze Kopitar scored both of the goals for the Kings in this run as he picked up a power play goal at 9:21, literally about 4 seconds into Los Angeles's first power play of the period. And then he gets another one on the other side of this Wade Allison goal, 10:27 mark. Wade Allison with a terrific effort here to first put the puck on goal, then knock the rebound free, and then finally bury it for his 7th goal of the season that made it 2-1. It's Wade Allison 7th from Kevin Hayes and Ivan Provorov, 2 assists in the first period for Provorov. And again, we talked about it earlier, but just great to see Wade Allison getting some reward here for his hard work and everything that he's put into, not only battling these injuries over the years, but now being in the NHL and finally trying to get some consistency and stay up here for a while. And he's been part of this top 12 forwards that has not changed at all in the last 16 games now. And he's able to finally find a tally there.
Yeah, I gotta ask Torts when I talk to him tomorrow if the trigger he usually has is still working. I mean, 16 games. Are you kidding me? But yeah, Allison just straight line player. Bri goes straight to the net once he gets that puck. After where I thought the really savvy play there is the little touch pass that Hayes gives him just to lay it out a little further, allows him to cut across the ice and then find that lane to the net where he just individual effort stays with it. Provorov picked up the assist. Provorov, like you mentioned, 2 assists in the first. I thought that may have been Provorov's best defensive game of the year tonight, too. I thought he was really good in the game for the Flyers. And I know it's been a trying week and change for Provorov, but I thought he was really good in the game tonight. And he picks up 2 helpers there in the first period. Flyers, all said and done, end up with it tied at 2. Did you notice on that Kopitar goal where the bumper is for them? They moved their bumper up really high. That was a set play off the faceoff on that power play. And I saw it later in the game. I'm like, okay, they like to keep that bumper up really high. You can either trigger it from there and then drive to the net, or you can pass out of it as well. Now, on that occasion, Kopitar shot and scored. But on another power play they tried it twice to shoot from there and another time to distribute from there with that bumper guy a lot higher than you'd normally see it. Usually it's down around the top of the circle or just inside the top of the circle. They keep him a little higher. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, and it did seem like the Flyers, after that happened once, that they did adapt to it. And, again, going back and looking at that goal, which, again, you nailed it right at the top of the circle is where that bumper spot was. And, it doesn't come from behind the net. Like a lot of times that secondary forward is down in the corner or something like that.
Comes off the half wall.
Yeah. Here, it comes directly off the half wall. And again, we didn't get a ton of outstanding camera angles of this particular goal, but and I think a lot of it had to do with it being right off the face-off. But I think this hits Provorov's skate on the way in. I just, this looked like there was some sort of deflection there on the left side of Carter Hart, so that certainly didn't help. But it was a very I do like the look of that, and again, imitation's the best form of flattery. It's something that maybe you might see other teams trying here eventually.
Yeah, and the thing about it too is, that player in the bumper can now move down the wall as the puck, if the person on the half wall with the puck moves down the wall.
Right.
So they can kind of work in concert and two together, or that bumper can move down and then slide back out high if you can get a little bit of space. So it's two players. If you can get them to read off each other, can really be a nightmare to defend, as long as you're willing to move that bumper up high and low.
Right, absolutely. So the second Kopitar goal, which came later in the period, made it a 2-2 game. That's where we stood after one period of play. Second period, the teams each exchange a goal. And this time, it was an interesting second period because I'm not sure there were any shots on goal by either team until 8 minutes into the frame. But the Flyers get their goal at the 10:37 mark from Rasmus Ristolainen. And this is just a really nifty play here because the entire Flyers 5 men on the ice kind of rotate here. They kind of do a full cycle, and it ends up with Morgan Frost being out at the point, and then Ristolainen cutting to the net, and he goes down there and he picks up a puck that again, just bounces through traffic and gets to him. He's wide open, and he's able to tuck it home to give the Flyers the lead once again. So it's Ristolainen from Van Riemsdyk and Frost. Again, Frost gets the secondary assist just because of the way this whole thing ended up playing out. But really, he's the primary. So they're going to change the order of that if it even matters. I see it hits Van Riemsdyk twice. That's why Van Riemsdyk's first. So it's actually a pretty nifty play by Van Riemsdyk as well, because Frost starts this whole play in the left corner, and he ends up out on the right point. Like, he goes all the way around to the other side of the ice, but to do so, Van Riemsdyk's in the circle, and the puck got knocked off a Frost stick to Van Riemsdyk. He plays it through his legs, a little backhand pass through his legs to Frost, and then when Frost threw it on net, Van Riemsdyk gets a piece of it on the way through, and it ends up to Ristolainen. So that's why the assists land the way they do. Again, not sure if this is something that the Flyers did on purpose, but it's a nice little thing to insert into their game. It is just a heads-up play though by Ristolainen when he sees Frost coming to go somewhere else, and he ends up going in the exactly right spot.
Yeah, he reads it perfectly, and he goes, okay, he's going to come out and he's going to take over this area of the ice. Let me go make myself an option. And, that's smart play without the puck. That's what Torts talks about a ton too, right? Mm-hmm. What are you doing without the puck to make yourself still a threat? If you have to be defended in this sport without the puck, it's a great thing, because, and if you're controlling the puck, and he just rotates off, and it's a perfect rotate off because he makes himself a primary option. And look, when you look at what's out there on the ice, you're looking at Ristolainen, you're probably going, I don't have to worry about him as much. But he just pops a nice little backhand in there. I mean, both his goals have been little savvy-looking backhands, and you'll take them both because it was just a smart activation, I thought, from Ristolainen to make himself that option. And, that you need your D to do that. You need your D. Sometimes you got to get in the offensive zone and play a little bit of positionless hockey and cycle and get down low, and those guys got to rotate. And they did it there, and it puts them up 3-2 in the game.
So Ristolainen, again, with the go-ahead goal there at 10:37 of the second. The Kings tied up, though, with about 1:24 left in the period on a goal by Samuel Fagemo. And then Kevin Fiala gets that game winner 56 seconds into overtime. We've hashed it out quite a bit here already in case you're just leaving the building, getting into your cars and missed the breakdown earlier. It is a situation where Tony DeAngelo is coming around from behind the net, and he goes through traffic, and he is impeded. There is a LA Kings stick from a defenseman coming across his chest, and then the goaltender's there as well. And he goes down. He can't fight through to go help defensively, and then odd man rush the other way for Los Angeles, ends up in the back of the net, and that's why Tony was rather rather cross after the game. He had a lot to say to both referees. There's a veteran here, of course, Steve Kazari actually used to be in charge of the referees before he came back out on the ice, and then Michael Markovic, who's a relative newcomer to the position at the NHL level. So you've got a couple of guys there that certainly have. Well, Kazari's got a ton of experience. They just didn't see it. So that's the way things bounce sometimes. But definitely some frustration there on the Flyers end of things.
Yeah, and I think you understand. You go, okay, sometimes we're not going to see a certain one, but it just seemed rather consistent. The standard seemed a little different for each team in the game. So I think that's the issue. Sometimes you go, okay, you didn't see it. There's nothing I can do if you didn't see it. But did you not see the Delarier get pulled down? Did you not see JVR get interfered with? That's the thing you'll look at. So it's the buildup of frustration throughout the game, even though it's a one play that was the determining factor.
Yep, absolutely. So that's the final here tonight, 4-3 in overtime. So the Flyers at least don't have to deal with a shootout tonight. That's a thing that they usually try to avoid. But
boy, is that a silver lining?
Yeah, again, just looking ahead here to what they've got coming down the road now. They're going to be headed out into the tundra here for next couple of games. Yeah. I believe it's going to be -4 in Winnipeg on Saturday. There's nothing that'll make you appreciate wherever you end up during the All-Star break more than going up there before it. But they're going to be taking on, again, a couple of teams here that Winnipeg especially. They've just seen Winnipeg, and they're going to be perhaps looking for a better outcome against the Jets on the road. But that's always a tough place to play. And Minnesota is, they're no slouch either. They're 9 points behind Winnipeg, but they're third in the Central right now, 25-17-4. And it'll be the first time this year the Flyers are seeing the Minnesota Wild, who have lost 3 in a row. Again, as of their last game, I don't believe they are in action tonight. But 3-game losing streak for the Minnesota Wild coming into this game tonight. They did lose tonight, it looks like, to Tampa Bay. So that would be, that is the third loss in a row. So they're going to be looking to try to right the ship when the Flyers come in. And, it should be, again, it's a pretty good matchup between those two teams.
Yeah, and you couple it with this game, and you're facing 3 teams that's got some big bodies. Minnesota's a big, heavy team. We know Winnipeg is. We just saw them. And that's a big, heavy team as well. So 2 tough games before you head into this break, then All-Star break, combined 8 days in between games, and a good opportunity to, heal up a little bit, your body, heal up your mind a little bit, recapture some energy for the final stretch, the first part of that stretch leading into the trade deadline, which will be March 3rd. And but you still got 2 games to go on the road, and you're facing 2 bigger, heavy teams that are both playoff bound teams looking to do something. So you're still playing a lot of meaningful hockey. And I think that's the most important thing. And that's something Torts talks about quite a bit with us is, playing great in meaningless games is whatever. Playing, really well in meaningful games is what it's about. That's where I can really judge a player when he's under the stress of very meaningful hockey. And these have been meaningful games. Yeah. And they're going to be meaningful for a while longer here. So, and these players got to treat them all like they're meaningful, because if you don't, then you may mean to get out of here.
Right. Yeah. It's just, it's a matter of how you approach things, regardless of what the end game is right now. Again, this is a long-term vision. This is not necessarily, all right, these, this season is going to be like this. We're going to just start over next season. Now, this whole everything from here on out is being designed to play into next season. It is part of next season and part of the plan here to turn things around and keep them going in the right way. And obviously, when you compare where the Flyers are right now to where they were last year, it has started to turn. There's no question about it. So they'll just try to keep it turning in the right direction.
Yeah, it's well said, and that's the thing. We were looking for a point in the season. We said, all right, things are moving in the right direction. I think in a lot of areas they are. The one area that you can't control, especially right now, obviously, is the addition of high-end talent. Right. That'll have to come, and we'll see what the situation is with Cutter Gauthier when his season's over at Boston College, or he's going to come turn pro or go back to play another year collegiate, well, all that stuff will happen in due time. But right now, control what you can control, and that's getting this standard and foundation set. And they've been amazingly consistent playing to a high standard and professional and honest. And I think that's a great thing. I think you need more, but it's certainly good foundational blocks.
Just for the record, at the end of the game, Tony D'Angelo, a 2-minute unsportsmanlike conduct penalty and a game misconduct. So,
okay.
Obviously, and I've always maintained that when things like this are issued, there should be a transcript required. I wish I could see it, but
an audio clip.
You can go back and watch the replay and read some lips. You can kind of get the gist of it. But again, an unfortunate outcome here for the Flyers tonight, but a game where they were with the Kings all night long, and they will try to continue this momentum coming up on Thursday when they visit the Minnesota Wild. That will be our next broadcast here along the Flyers Broadcast Network. We'll be here on 97.5 The Fanatic on Thursday night, and the puck will drop at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll have the Flyers Fanatic pregame show for you right before that as well, so we hope you will join us for that. We'll put a wrap on this one. Let some folks get out of here. Jason's got to get some rest as he continues to recover from this. So, hey, we hope you're doing well here in the next couple of days.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be talking to you on Thursday. Our thanks to Betsy Deming, who is up here with us in the press box tonight, and Pat Egan, our engineer, back at the studio. Mike Vito on highlights tonight for Tim Saunders.